Saludos amigos televidentes, les saluda David Reyes en directo de Washington, D.C. Nos encontramos en el National Press Club, acá donde el gobernador de Puerto Rico se estará pronunciando luego de haber tenido una reunión y de presentar una documentación en la Organización de Estados Americanos, donde viene a solicitar formalmente los primeros procederes en cuanto a la expresión de los votantes, los electores en Puerto Rico, realizada el pasado domingo 11 de junio en el plebiscito de estatus, donde la mayoría, el 97% de los votantes, exigió mediante su derecho electoral el hecho de que pues, Puerto Rico fuera considerado en todo el proceso a nivel congresional para adjudicarse como Estado 51 de la nación americana. En este sentido, ya acá se encuentran varios dignatarios que están acompañando al gobernador. Entre ellos, de allí mismo, de Puerto Rico, de nuestra isla, se encuentra el secretario de Estado, Rivera Marín, así como otros congresistas que hacen dado cita, como lo son Don John y otros que ustedes estarán durante el proceso conociendo a través de sus expresiones. Ya gobernador se encuentra listo para la transmisión.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. First off, would like to send our thoughts and prayers to Majority Whip Solis, the people that were involved in the incident, and just our full support from the people of Puerto Rico after this tragic event. Secondly, we are here to talk about the results of the plebiscite that occurred in Puerto Rico. In essence, we had an expression, a clear expression of the people of Puerto Rico. The people spoke, and now what we are doing here is we are asking for action from Congress so that we can resolve the 500-year-old dilemma of territory in Puerto Rico, so that we can make right with the civil rights and democratic rights that haven't been attained to in Puerto Rico. And our expectation is that this issue moves quickly with the importance it merits. Let me just put it in context, in proper context, what this means and why it's in the best interest of the United States and the world to act on this issue. Territories have all but disappeared in the world. It was a 19th century construct. It started being eradicated throughout the 20th century, and now, Puerto Rico remains the most populous and largest and oldest territory in the world. We have always pointed to this as a civil rights issue. The U.S. citizens that reside in Puerto Rico don't have the same rights that the U.S. citizens that live anywhere else within the states. It is not a Puerto Rican problem. It is a geographical problem. If a Puerto Rican moves to, say, Florida, he or she acquires all of the rights that an American citizen has in the states. And by the same token, if any U.S. citizen that was born in the states moves to Puerto Rico, they would lose those rights. So we've been pointing out this sort of flaw in the system for the past decades. And we've been calling out the fact that it's a lack or a problem in terms of civil rights. Now, we have always gone into Congress, and I must recognize the efforts done by Congressman Young on this effort so that we can get a solution from Congress. In the past, one of the main sort of obstacles to finding a solution in Congress was that the people of Puerto Rico had not decided. We hadn't gone through a process where there was there was clarity on the results. We hadn't gone through the democratic mechanism to define what the people of Puerto Rico wanted. In 2012, November of 2012, that argument ended. The people of Puerto Rico had a plebiscite where they rejected the current colonial territorial status and favored statehood significantly. Now, not a lot was done after that process, mainly because the administration that was elected in that same election favored the current status. Notwithstanding that, before we got to office, we told the people of Puerto Rico we wanted to embark on another process so that we can ratify those results. And that process was executed the 11th of June. The results, again, conclusive. People favored statehood. People rejected the current status. And now we have two processes, democratically constructed processes, where the U.S. citizens of Puerto Rico have taken a stand and have pleaded a choice. And we are here so that the voice of the people of Puerto Rico gets recognized, number one. And number two, so that we can get some action, we can get action on this matter going in Congress. It is a matter of civil rights. It is a matter of democratic rights. And our view is that, the vast majority of people in Puerto Rico, U.S. citizens in Puerto Rico, love and cherish our U.S. citizenship. We value it because we value the core beliefs of democracy, liberty, justice, and we want this period of territorial politics to end because it sort of hinders that effort. More so now that the people of Puerto Rico have expressed their preference and they want this territorial status to end, and they want to become, and we want to become the 51st state of the nation. So it is our view that action needs to be taken now, that for the U.S. to have a consistent message across the world, going to Cuba, going to Venezuela, going to Syria, and pleading for democracy, it needs to take action in its own homeland and attend to the 3.5 million citizens that reside in the island that have already expressed democratically what their will and what their preference is. So this is our petition, and we would like to thank all of the support that we've been receiving across party lines, across countries in terms of the effort, the desire to have a solution to this problem in Puerto Rico. I would like to recognize, of course, Congressman Don Young, who has been a stalwart in this effort. He has always believed in the self-determination of the people of Puerto Rico, and we thank him for his efforts in the past and his efforts now. And by the same token, we would like to recognize and thank Congressman Darren Soto for his commitment to self-determination and to a transparent democratic process in Puerto Rico. Both of them were part of an effort that our Secretary of State, Luis Gerardo Rivera Marin, guided so that we can have some clarity, that we can show international and national observers that this was a organized, fair process. And I will let them speak a little bit about that. But from my vantage point and from the people of Puerto Rico, I would like to thank again both congressmen, and I would like Congressman Young to have the opportunity to make some remarks.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you, Governor and Secretary of State. I was pleased to be an observer of this election. It was the best election held that I've ever witnessed. Very fail-safe, fair, and well operated. Made me feel good. I've been involved in this issue since 1996. I had the first vote on the floor of the House, passed by one vote. But it is time we stop colonizing Puerto Rico. It's time that we recognize 3,500,000 Puerto Rican citizens of America. It's time that the Congress steps up and does their job to take and make the mistake as they have spoken. Overwhelmingly, 97%. And what we'll do now, with the help of my good friend, my senator friend, congressman friend, we will in fact pass a bill, or we will recognize this plebiscite and make it the 51st state. And we are the only ones that have the constitutional authority to do that, the Congress. Now, my interest really in this area started way back when we were the 49th state, and I heard the same arguments then. Why should we? They're a long ways away, and they forgot we are American citizens as Puerto Rico's right now as American citizens. I was, very frankly, went back to the history of the state of Alaska, and Ernest Gruening on the floor of the Senate, our senator at that time, stood up and very frankly, in a very loud voice and gesture said, it's time America stops colonizing. I'd say it's time for Congress to act to make Puerto Rico, as a people sought to do so, a state, the 51st state of this union. Thank you, Mr. Governor.
Thank you, Congressman. Thanks again for all the efforts and for your words. We would also like to recognize and to hear the remarks of our Congressman from Florida, Darren Soto.
Thank you, Governor. My position from the beginning is still my position, which is that the people of Puerto Rico need to determine their form of government. What else could someone of Puerto Rican descent raised in New Jersey and Florida believe? Anything else would have been more colonialism, telling the people of the island what they need to be. But I also believe in the rule of law as an attorney, and also know that many in Florida and throughout the nation want to see an ultimate determination. And so that's why I was proud to join both the Natural Resource Committee and the Subcommittee on Indian, Insular, and Alaskan Affairs, along with our long-serving Congressman Don Young, to be there in a position to have jurisdiction over Puerto Rico and view if a plebiscite were called to make sure it was in compliance with law. We had the pleasure of both going down on a bipartisan trip on behalf of the subcommittee to review the election. We found it to be in compliance with law. We found it to be accessible to all Puerto Ricans on the island, and we found it to be also duly noticed. That's all we have in the United States is elections and the rule of law. Anything else, we just get down a road where you could call into question any election, from the President of the United States to members of Congress to governors and the like. And so we compiled a comprehensive report that all of you will be receiving over the next few minutes, the Young-Soto 2017 Comprehensive Report on the Puerto Rico plebiscite, that will contain our findings that are prepared for the subcommittee and for Congress. And so now there's only really a few things that remain. A civil rights movement for equality for the people of Puerto Rico now that they've made their determination. We have a people who serve in the United States military in overwhelming margins, a people who pay their federal taxes, who pledge allegiance to our flag, but can't vote for the President of the United States, don't have voting members of Congress or the Senate. And now it's up to Congress to make their final determination. And certainly, now that the people of Puerto Rico are decided, we'll certainly be supporting their entry into the Union as the 51st state. And going forward, it may be a short road or a long road, but we're committed to making sure the will of the people is exhibited and supported. Thank you.
Thank you, Congressman Soto. Thank you for your words, and thank you for your commitment to the people of Puerto Rico. I would also like to take the opportunity to have, the lead effort that was established for the international and national observers. We would like to thank and recognize and hear his remarks. Mr. Jason Emmert, if you please could.
Thank you, Governor. Good morning. I was the executive director of the Election Observation Mission. My name is Jason Emmert. I am also an attorney. And at the request of the Department of State and Secretary of State, I formed a joint bipartisan domestic and international observation delegation to audit their voting procedure to ensure Puerto Rico held a free and fair election representative of the Puerto Rican people in compliance with law. Our 15-person delegation consists of the following individuals. Our chairman, Congressman Young and Congressman Soto, thank you so much for your leadership on this, along with Rhode Island Secretary of State Nellie Gorbea, former Michigan Congressman Thaddeus McCotter, former chairwoman of the Federal Election Committee Ann Revelle, former chairman of the Democratic National Committee Don Fowler, Central American Parliament Deputy Fernando Bautista, Dominican Republic Congressman Elias Sarey, Texas State Representative Jason Isaac, Mississippi State Representative Chris Johnson, U.S. Virgin Island Republican Party Chairman John Canagata, former chairman of the Rhode Island Republican Party Giovanni Ciccone, former chairwoman of the South Carolina Democratic Party Carol Fowler, and Laura Bialba, who's with us today from the FEC. Our team, in its finding, found the voting process was overwhelmingly free, fair, effectively organized, and in compliance with law. Election officials were all well-trained and professional. Security was provided at almost every polling location, ensuring that voting was done peacefully. There were no observable signs of political influence or polling malpractice by officials. And while there were some relatively minor issues, a vast majority of the voters were able to efficiently cast their ballot without any serious impediment or disenfranchisement. In those instances where there were minor problems, they were resolved quickly, and the procedures and the fail-safe mechanisms, as Congressman Young has mentioned, worked exactly how they were designed by the Election Commission. Over the course of our mission in Puerto Rico, we met with top officials from the Puerto Rico State Elections Commission, including its president, Lisa Garcia, its chief information officer, Maria Santiago, and individuals representing each of the three political statuses that were on the ballot. The day before the election, we learned about the island's electoral system and the specifics of the particular plebiscite. This seminar covered topics including the legal and constitutional framework of federal laws regarding Puerto Rico's political status, past plebiscites and their results, the nonpartisan voter education campaign in this plebiscite run by the Election Commission, voter registration, absentee voting, and mail voting procedures, and the electoral law and regulations for the implementation of this past plebiscite. Additionally, we were educated on the digital vote counting technology that is used in Puerto Rico and learned the significant measures taken by the Election Commission to ensure the safety and security of the election results data. Prior to Election Day, the mission also had the opportunity to witness early voting in two distinct institutional contexts. First, visiting correctional facility and watching the inmates vote, as well as the vote to ensure that hospital patients had the right to vote and exercise their constitutional rights, even though they couldn't get out on Sunday. On Election Day, we divided into groups and covered Puerto Rico's 8 senatorial districts. We visited over 50 polling stations throughout Puerto Rico and took detailed notes on the live voting process in action. Observers also had the opportunity to visit a permanent voter registration office location, which provided voters the opportunity to replace any electoral ID cards the day of the event up to 30 minutes prior to the close of the polls. Furthermore, the Puerto Rico Election Commission appeared to have the resources and independence to conduct a successful event, and the delegation congratulates the U.S. citizens of Puerto Rico for exercising their constitutional right to vote and expressing their choice on the future of Puerto Rico's status. We are appreciative of the thoroughness of the Election Commission and the professionalism of everyone associated with their organization. We want to specifically commend President Garcia and her team on their conduct and professionalism. Alternatively, the delegation is disappointed in those who did call for a boycott. Our delegation found that this is not in accordance with domestic standards of election participation or our democratic norms. Nevertheless, our delegation finds no significance in the so-called boycott and cannot discern anything from any individual who did not participate in the election. Barring circumstances of disenfranchisement, in a democracy we cannot deduce an outcome to those who do not participate. For example, are we to invalidate a Texas constitutional amendment recognizing the right of people to hunt, fish, and harvest wildlife because only 11% of voters participated in that election, despite it passing with 81% of the vote? Or should we have deprived the primary voters of Nebraska and Washington of their presidential nominees from the 2016 election, who only had 13% and 10% voter turnout, respectively? We do commend Puerto Rico on the following improvements in their voting over the last few years. In our debriefing, once the vote had concluded, our delegation was impressed by the uniformity and consistency of the process around the island. Each one of us had the same story and came back and concluded the same result. Without question, the implementation of the electronic vote counting technology has significantly improved the electoral process in Puerto Rico. Ensuring the participation of voters in jail and hospitals is also incredibly positive, and the philosophical intent to keep people involved in the process is highly commendable. The use of voter ID cards in Puerto Rico has been implemented for years and has had a positive effect on the electoral process without infringing on anyone's right to vote. The access of handicap accessibility and the helpfulness of the trained poll workers is one of the most impressive takeaways from the observation. Poll workers were professional and courteous to all voters, and their thorough training professional was on full display throughout Sunday. In cases where the delegation observers identified problems on Election Day, most were quickly resolved by polling officials or the Election Commission. The most significant change we would like to see is keeping the polls open later to further ensure all eligible voters sufficient time and opportunity to exercise their right to vote. Currently, polls close at 3 p.m., and we encourage the government to consider extending voting hours for future elections to come more in line closely with domestic standards. Additionally, only time will tell if the approximate 638,000 people recently added to the voter rolls by a court judgment participated in the June 2017 plebiscite. If most of these voters who had not participated in the two prior general elections did not participate in the plebiscite, it creates a false impression of low voter turnout. For example, removing the previously purged voters would add almost 10% to voter participation numbers. So we ask the government also reconcile the voter rolls. To conclude, the plebiscite was conducted in a free and fair manner without fraud or untoward election tampering. Now that the vote has concluded, our delegation is confident in the reliability of the election results. To that end, our delegation was not there to support a particular choice, as we represented many differing political opinions and only came to validate the outcome and the process. Thus, the result should stand as it is without any question to the integrity of the process and the self-determination of the people of Puerto Rico. Our team determined that Puerto Rico meets, and in most instances, exceeds the norms of domestic and international election procedure. From a delegation perspective, we found there were no infringement or impediments to anyone's right to vote or reason to invalidate the plebiscite over process. Henceforth, we have concluded our role in the plebiscite and will work with Congressman Young and Soto to provide any addendum to their report as they see fit. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Emmert, and once again, thank you all. We would like to just add a few points. We've had several meetings since arriving here to Washington, and we'll continue to do so as well. We would like to thank all of those that are receiving these results, and just for the benefit of the people that are here or watching us home, here are the results, the preliminary results that have been certified by the State Elections Commissions, where it shows that 97.18% of those voters chose statehood, whereas only 1.5% of the voters chose the current territorial status, and the free association and independence alternative, and 1.3% of those voters chose the actual territorial status. So, as you can see, the voice of the people was loud and clear. We expect that Congress will react. We will be here making sure that the environment gets generated, and our expectation is action. We would like to thank once again Congressman Young, Congressman Soto, Mr. Emmert, and Secretary of State for their part in this effort. And we would like to invite all of those that support civil rights, all of those that support democratic rights, all of those that love the context of the United States as a standard bearer for democracy in the world, to help us end this last chapter of colonialism, to help us allow the United States in good standing be able to speak about democracy in other jurisdictions without having the limitation of doing so based on still having disenfranchised 3.5 million U.S. citizens that can't vote in Puerto Rico, that can't vote for their commander-in-chief, and that want to be fully integral part of the United States. With those statements, we'll be happy to take any questions from the press.
Gobernador, si puede hacer una breve expresión en español.
Claro que sí. Muchas gracias a todos los compañeros y compañeras. Hoy estamos aquí porque el pueblo de Puerto Rico ha hablado claro y de manera contundente y nuestra expectativa es que se tome acción en el Congreso, que los distintos cuerpos, los distintos foros de derechos civiles, de derechos humanos, de derechos democráticos sean parte de este reclamo y que le permitan al pueblo de Puerto Rico culminar lo que son 500 años de coloniaje, que nos permitan a los Estados Unidos culminar con el historial de mantener un territorio colonial que sostiene 3.5 millones de ciudadanos americanos que residen en Puerto Rico, pero que no tienen los mismos derechos. En el pasado, la excusa era que los puertorriqueños no habíamos decidido. Desde el 2012 esa excusa ya no existe. Ya hay 2 procesos electorales donde la voluntad democrática del pueblo de Puerto Rico ha sido clara y expresa y ha establecido que quiere rechazar el territorio colonial y que quiere transicionar hacia convertirse en el Estado 51 de la nación americana. Por lo tanto, ante ese reclamo, ante la realidad de que los Estados Unidos es el puerto estandarte de la democracia, de la libertad a nivel global, hacemos este reclamo para que esos llamados que se hagan en Cuba, en Venezuela, en Siria, en Afganistán y en otras jurisdicciones tengan el peso que amerita, que solamente lo tendrían si se atiende el problema colonial que existe en Puerto Rico y el problema democrático si no se atiende este asunto. Así que nuevamente reitero, nuestras visitas aquí, estaremos continuamente trabajando con este equipo de trabajo, con nuestra comisionada residente. Le agradecemos al congresista Don Young por su labor incansable por las últimas décadas con el asunto de Puerto Rico. Él pasó por algo similar cuando Alaska fue, era un territorio y se convirtió en un estado. Y nuestro agradecimiento también al congresista de Florida, Darren Soto, por hacer buena su palabra. Él reclama y sigue siendo su posición que Puerto Rico debe tener la oportunidad y el espacio de autodeterminación. Él ha visto que ese proceso se ha llevado a cabo y por lo tanto ha sido un puerto estandarte en la lucha por ello. A Jason Emmert por su liderato, su claridad en este asunto, por preparar un grupo de observadores de calibre global, que todos concluyeron que el proceso fue tan o mejor que cualquier otro proceso que han visto electoral. Y por supuesto a nuestro secretario de Estado, a Luis Gerardo Rivera Marín, por asegurarse que el proceso de los observadores y los otros procesos se llevaran a cabo tanto aquí en Washington como en Puerto Rico. Nuevamente reitero, el pueblo de Puerto Rico ha hablado y nuestro reclamo es que el Congreso tiene que actuar ahora.
Ok, vamos a tomar algunas preguntas.
Saludos, gobernador. David Reyes, WIPR Televisión, Puerto Rico. Gobernador, ¿cómo define, aunque sí lo ha parafraseado, este importante paso que hoy se da, un primer paso luego de tener en sus manos un documento que evidencia el deseo del pueblo de Puerto Rico de apoyar la estadidad, primero, y segundo, dentro de la misma pregunta, el hecho de que mejor es cabildero, ¿verdad?, que tener a 2 congresistas? Pregunto si la intención es que estos congresistas puedan ser los que se acerquen a otros para que apoyen el esfuerzo que se pretende alcanzar.
Sí, un día muy importante, ¿verdad? Porque ya se está cristalizando lo que había sido una preocupación en el pasado, que era qué es lo que dice la expresión democrática del pueblo de Puerto Rico. Ya no cabe duda que este proceso se han llevado a cabo en 2 ocasiones y ya ha quedado meridianamente claro que el pueblo de Puerto Rico rechaza la colonia y favorece la estadidad. En términos del proceso, ¿verdad? Como saben, nuestra comisionada residente ha establecido un proyecto de admisión para Puerto Rico que va a estar trabajando. Entiendo por las expresiones del congresista Darren Soto que también va a colaborar con ese esfuerzo y estoy seguro que contaremos también con el congresista Young para que esto sea un esfuerzo bipartita de derechos civiles, de derechos democráticos y nuevamente para que se encuentre una solución al problema. No es opción que Estados Unidos ignore estos resultados. Simplemente no lo es. Si hay ciudadanos americanos en un proceso democrático tomando una decisión, se tiene que actuar. Yes, go ahead.
Nuestra posición era muy clara. Nosotros queremos, la gente de Puerto Rico necesita hacer la decisión por el estatus. Y después nosotros viajamos a la isla en este junio, 11 de junio, para observar esta elección en un grupo de ambos partidos, republicano, representante Dan Young, y yo, un demócrata. Nosotros observamos que esta elección era en compliance con la ley y nosotros escribimos una reporta bipartisan quien va a describir nuestro comité de Indian, Insular y Alaskan Affairs y nosotros ahora vamos a llamar por una vista en este subcommittee y también para en el futuro llamar por una voto de Congreso, porque ahora la gente de Puerto Rico dice su preferencia y ahora solamente nosotros tenemos un movimiento de derechos civiles por una comunidad de veteranos, de personas quien paga los impuestos federales y también dice una allegiance a nuestra bandera americana.
Muchas gracias, congresista.
Sí, hola, Patricia Guadalupe de NBC Latino. Voy a hacer la pregunta en inglés porque
Sure,
quiero que los otros congresistas contesten.
course.
Governor, what do you say to people who are saying that maybe you should have waited, given what happened yesterday, that this is so far down on the congressional calendar that, given what happened yesterday, that maybe you should have postponed it for another time? And I wanted to ask that of you to Congressman Young and Soto. Thank
Do you mean regarding the incident in the baseball
yes,
shooting?
that maybe you shouldn't have had it today. That's what some of the criticism that's been out there.
Well, listen, we are here to support Congressman Solis. As a matter of fact, one of the opportunities we were going to have was to speak to the congressman. Our thoughts and prayers, any support we can give in this, when we're here, we will be giving it. And I say that as the representative of the people of Puerto Rico. Our thoughts and prayers are with him. We are merely bringing the attention of the results to Puerto Rico. I think we will carry on with this issue. It doesn't mean that we're ignoring what happened. As a matter of fact, my opening statements, I know you came in a little bit later. My opening statements in this press conference were about our thoughts and our prayers to those that were affected by that tragedy.
We have a job to do, and that's what we expect to do. We represent all the United States, and we're not going to stop. If we stop, the bad guys win. So I'm very pleased we're going forth. We have time to do this if we work, if we do our job, and that's what I expect to do. What else?
Gobernador, yo quería preguntarle sobre si existe la posibilidad de solicitar de manera retroactiva la asignación de fondos del Departamento de Justicia, si ha considerado hacerlo o solicitarlo dentro de este proceso.
No es prioritario. Lo importante aquí es que el pueblo de Puerto Rico se expresó en un proceso donde nosotros habíamos establecido una ley originalmente, como bien sabes, para atender lo que eran las soluciones al problema del estatus en Puerto Rico. No se incluyó inicialmente lo que era el territorio porque se sobreentendía que eso era parte del problema. No obstante, el Departamento de Justicia nos envía una carta con unos cambios que piden que se hagan a la ley. Nosotros lo hicimos palabra por palabra y por lo tanto la validación está ahí. El objetivo con todo esto, de nuevo, esto es un problema. La magnitud de este problema, de ser una colonia, no se puede calcular meramente en dinero. Sí hay distintas maneras de hacerlo. Por ejemplo, al ser un territorio colonial y no ser un estado, estamos en una situación donde recibimos, ¿verdad? El ciudadano común recibe una tercera parte de lo que recibiría en términos de salud para el pueblo. Eso nos afecta a nosotros, ¿verdad? A los puertorriqueños, pero también afecta a los estados, porque cada ciudadano que se muda a uno de los estados, entonces aumenta el gasto en esos estados y a nivel federal. De hecho, si la tendencia de éxodo continúa, se proyecta que para los estados de la nación americana y el gobierno federal, en los próximos 15 años sería un gasto de cerca de 20 billones de dólares adicionales por no atender el problema en Puerto Rico. O sea que hay un efecto económico, pero más allá de eso es un asunto de derechos civiles, es un asunto de derechos democráticos. ¿Cómo podemos justificar que hay 3.5 millones de ciudadanos americanos que no tienen los mismos derechos que los ciudadanos americanos que viven en cualquiera de los estados? ¿Cómo podemos justificarlo aún más después que hay una expresión clara del pueblo de Puerto Rico en 2 ocasiones, rechazando la colonia y favoreciendo la estadidad? La contestación es que no hay manera de justificarlo, y a la medida que nosotros podamos seguir aumentando, amplificando el eco de lo que ha ocurrido, vamos a seguir teniendo efectos positivos. Ya la Casa Blanca se ha expresado, escucharon que dijo, que dijeron que el pueblo de Puerto Rico ha hablado, y que ahora le compete, como constitucionalmente se ha establecido, al Congreso a tomar acción. Ya hemos visto un sinnúmero de congresistas de ambos partidos, demócratas y republicanos, respondiendo al reclamo del pueblo de Puerto Rico, y lo que estamos esperando es que ahora, con ese reclamo inequívoco, democrático, con ese resultado, con la realidad de que esto es un problema de derechos civiles, de que se tome acción. ¿Seguro?
El proceso es muy claro. La decisión de estadidad es la decisión del Congreso. Nosotros tenemos una opinión del Departamento de Justicia para cambiar la balota, para incluir todas 3 opciones. La cosa increíble es cualquiera la opinión del Departamento de Justicia o una vota, todavía va a estar una decisión del Congreso. Sin embargo, están hechos, el Congreso puede considerar en esta decisión. Mi opinión, hay una posibilidad si la isla va a recibir el $2.5 millones o no, pero yo no creo opinión del Departamento de Justicia es una prohibición para la decisión del Congreso. Nuestra Constitución está muy clara, esta es la decisión del Congreso, y en nuestra historia nosotros usualmente tenemos una elección, pero todavía no está necesario. En esta situación yo creo era muy importante.
Sí, buenos días. José Delgado, del periódico El Nuevo Día. Gobernador, yo quisiera saber qué diferencia usted cree hubiera hecho esperar un par de meses por justicia federal, y si usted está hablando de excusas, si no le ha dado una nueva excusa al gobierno federal para no actuar, y si se va a necesitar, usted cree, un nuevo referéndum, quizás estadidad sí o no, después de esta consulta. And for Congressman Young, I would like you to comment regarding a few months ago in a hearing of the subcommittee, you mentioned that probably was not the right time to go ahead with a statehood proposal because of
This
the
was
fiscal.
before the plebiscite.
Yes, I know.
The people have spoken.
I know.
And that's why we're pushing forward.
Okay.
And very frankly, I think we have a better chance now than we did 6 months ago.
Okay.
Because actually the image of Puerto Rico is very frankly bankrupt. The plebiscite's been taken. They want to become a state. And that made me very happy. I'm very upfront with you.
And
And we're going to push it.
What will happen with the Promesa law and the territorial bankruptcy process?
Well, they're a state. They have the same rights as other states have had. They do not have it now.
So that's
one thing that
do you think the Congress can
They'll have all the
eliminate the law and
they'll
eliminate?
have all the rights of the states that every other state has.
Yeah.
And we have to accept that as a Congress. This is a territory which should not be. And we very frankly think these are 3,400,000 citizens that don't want to be in a colony anymore, and that's our job.
And do you think that the Congress can tell the governor, last time we legislated, we offered you a referendum with the status alternatives validated by the Attorney General. You didn't wait for that decision. Why you want us to legislate again?
Very frankly, we're going to try everything again to get it done. We only have so much time, and I'm tired of sitting around. I did this in 1996. It's time we let the Puerto Ricans become Americans full scale, and I'm not really worried about anybody else.
I second those comments, and with your first question, again, I think what the congressman stated validates why we didn't need to wait. There were the same alternatives that were expressed in 2012. There was a letter from the Department of Justice stating what the changes that had to ensue. We provoked those changes. We let the people decide, and the vote was clear. It was loud and clear. And lastly, this component about waiting time. When Martin Luther King fought for civil rights, when women fought for their right to suffrage, they weren't waiting for the right time. They thought that the right time was right now, and we need to act in the same way and accordingly. We can't start thinking about who is where. We need to take action because of the merits of what has occurred in Puerto Rico. It is a democratic process. It is the decision of the U.S. citizens of Puerto Rico, and the United States has to take action.
The last question.
If I may,
Yep.
just to address the sovereign immunity issue. So PROMESA, by its terms, is not a bar or prohibition to a ultimate status determination. If Puerto Rico is admitted as a state, they will have sovereign immunity like any other state, which means they have every right to either accept all debts, deny all debts, or negotiate them. Now, keep in mind, to have a good credit rating, you're going to want to have some negotiation, which is why states usually pay their debts. But at the end of the day, they would be a sovereign with full right, regardless of past laws like PROMESA, once a state to be in the driver's seat to negotiate these debts from a state perspective, like any other state. So it would have a profound effect on the negotiation of the debt, ultimately.
Sé que es la última oportunidad de preguntar, así que le voy a hacer algunas preguntas, algunas procesales que se contestan rápido. ¿Cuál fue la petición que se le hizo al secretario general de la OEA esta mañana sobre el proyecto de Jennifer González? ¿Cuándo se va a presentar uno nuevo o si van a acoger como suyo el proyecto de los congresistas aquí presentes? ¿Y para cuándo ustedes esperan unas vistas públicas?
Sí. El proyecto, ¿verdad? No es un proyecto de los congresistas aquí presentes, es que hubo una confusión, era que iban a apoyar lo que estaba estableciendo la congresista. Obviamente se discutirán cuál sería el mejor proyecto posible para poder tener el apoyo congresional. Sobre la OEA, pues tuvimos una discusión sobre presentar lo que eran los resultados del plebiscito ante el secretario ¿verdad? De la OEA y sus expresiones, y nos autorizó a decirlas, es que ellos validan ¿verdad? Lo que es los derechos civiles, los derechos humanos y derechos democráticos del pueblo de Puerto Rico que se ha expresado y que hacen un llamado a que se concluya con el sistema colonial, máxime después de que el pueblo se haya expresado.
Ulterior ante la OEA.
Bueno, saben que hay ya una querella que lleva casi una década. Le hemos solicitado que se puedan hacer algunas de esas vistas y particularmente se puedan hacer en Puerto Rico y le hemos establecido eso como una petición.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Vamos a tener una serie de reuniones, ciertamente respetando lo que ocurrió ayer, pero a la misma vez hablar y discutir con congresistas y distintas personas que son instrumentales en el proceso.
Thank you.
And just, we have the report in the back. My senior counsel, Harry Kruglich, has it. Nosotros tenemos la reporta atrás.
Amigos televidentes, han ustedes escuchado y hemos presentado para ustedes vía satélite, han visto en su totalidad esta conferencia de prensa que en efecto se realiza luego de que el gobernador va a la Organización de Estados Americanos a presentar formalmente la petición de la respuesta que hubo por el pueblo de Puerto Rico el pasado domingo ante la solicitud de un 97% de los electores que votaron para que Puerto Rico se una a los Estados Unidos como Estado 51. Escucharon diferentes expresiones, inclusive estuvo acompañado por dos congresistas de alto calibre como lo fueron o como lo son Don John y como lo es Darren Soto, de origen puertorriqueño. Ambos se expresaron en apoyo a toda la gestión que se realiza desde aquí y que estarán ayudando y respaldando al primer ejecutivo para el proceso que se estará dando para la solicitud formal ante el Congreso. Preguntamos, Noticia 24/7 preguntó si son ellos los mejores cabilderos para en efecto promulgar y solicitar que se pueda movilizar todo este proceso con mayor prontitud, y en efecto el gobernador respondió que seguirán haciendo las reuniones necesarias, estarán cabildeando de la manera pertinente para que de esta manera y en las visitas que tendrá durante este día se pueda entonces reconocer los esfuerzos que se están llevando a cabo. Vamos a tener la experiencia primero de saludar al secretario de Estado, quien está junto al gobernador acá de visita en Washington, D.C. Sabemos que ha habido un proceso muy interesante que se ha dado. Este primer paso fundamental es clave para el pueblo de Puerto Rico y para el gobierno del país.
Sí, como sabes, ahora toca al Congreso de los Estados Unidos atender este asunto de la autodeterminación del pueblo de Puerto Rico. Comenzamos el día en las oficinas de la OEA y allí nos reunimos con el secretario general Luis Almagro, quien recibió los resultados y se comprometió a promulgar tanto en la Asamblea como con los miembros participantes, lo que es reconocer la libre determinación del pueblo de Puerto Rico, ponerle fin ya al sistema colonial. Allí tuvimos oportunidad nuevamente de darle el proceso y en ese sentido toca ahora a los congresistas, particularmente de la Comisión de Recursos Naturales, el Subcomité de Asuntos Insulares e Indígenas, que tenemos 2 miembros participando en el comité observador y hoy aquí confirmaron que van a estar bajando al récord congresional tanto el informe sobre el proceso, los resultados y que van a estar promoviendo una vista para atender lo que a fin de cuentas será el proceso de admisión de Puerto Rico como Estado 51.
Estamos vía satélite para Puerto Rico y nos permite decirle a la comunidad en directo en este momento a través de WIPR el hecho de que hay unos congresistas que desde el primer momento y gracias a la gestión realizada por su persona y los observadores que fungieron como observadores en el proceso plebiscitario, pero que también han estado en apoyo constante a toda la gestión que se está realizando a raíz de los resultados del plebiscito. Vemos que hay un deseo de cabildear y de respaldar en efecto y extender la invitación a que otros congresistas apoyen el efecto de los resultados de esta consulta.
Mira, se han unido múltiples congresistas, tenemos prácticamente la delegación completa de Florida, donde tú sabes que residen la mayoría de los puertorriqueños, más de 1 millón. Allí ya tenemos al senador Marco Rubio en apoyo a la libre determinación. Tenemos igualmente a Ileana Ross, a Curbelo, a Darren Soto, entre otros de los congresistas de la Florida, el Steny Hoyer, que es el líder de la minoría en el Congreso, igualmente en apoyo, y se unen múltiples asociaciones de derechos civiles como lo son La Raza, como se ha unido ya LULAC, como se han unido también organizaciones conservadoras. Esto se ha convertido en una lucha de derechos civiles para los puertorriqueños y estamos encontrando el apoyo de los congresistas, el apoyo de nuestros hermanos puertorriqueños, de nuestros hermanos hispanos y de muchas organizaciones que como coalición vamos a elevar ese reclamo a los más altos niveles.
Por último, secretario, la agenda de hoy continúa. ¿Tienen ustedes otras responsabilidades y otras visitas a tono con la misma intención? Y esto no es solo una de las primeras visitas que se realizará acá, más allá de las que se hicieron antes del plebiscito. Esta es la primera luego del plebiscito. Habrán otras que darán paso a la apertura y a la solicitud que se está haciendo.
Tenemos varias visitas tanto a senadores como congresistas en estos momentos, unos foros mañana. Yo esta noche salgo para a la ciudad de Miami. Ahí mañana voy a estar junto al presidente Trump y su staff, el senador Marco Rubio, donde él va a estar anunciando la política pública hacia Cuba, en donde estamos tratando de insertarnos en la discusión de desarrollo de política pública para el Caribe, y evidentemente tendremos oportunidad de también presentarle los resultados. Ya nosotros le cursamos carta tanto a los líderes de mayoría, minoría, así como al presidente, notificándole y transmitiéndole los resultados. El lunes estamos también en las Naciones Unidas, en donde habremos de estar exponiendo lo que fue el ejercicio de libre determinación de los puertorriqueños, en donde el Comité de Descolonización habrá de recibir nuestro testimonio.
Gerardo Rivera Marín, nuestro secretario de Estado, gracias por las expresiones que nos permite tomarle y que el pueblo de Puerto Rico conozca de primera mano las gestiones que se realizan con fuerza a raíz pues, de la determinación tomada en el país.
Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias a usted. Amigos, por nuestra parte, recuerden que esta es una responsabilidad noticiosa de una cobertura especial que hemos estado realizando y que seguiremos llevando a cabo para que ustedes tengan noción completa. De hecho, por eso hemos transmitido en su totalidad vía satélite la misma, y también estaremos brindando unos reportajes durante el día. Síganos a través de nuestra señal de WIPR, wipr.pr en internet, también a través de nuestras plataformas en Facebook y Twitter, Noticias 24/7, y en Radio 940 AM. En directo desde Washington, D.C., han sido en la cámara el compañero Miguel Rosa, en la producción, en calidad de su responsabilidad como productora, la compañera Michelle de la Cruz, y este servidor David Reyes. Entregamos ya en directo a WIPR Televisión en Puerto Rico.